Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandez,
and I am Christopher Jaiwardner. Hello.
And we're about to review the notes. Written by Judy Pioli, directed by Gabrielle Alice James. I'm sure Chris has got some sort of facts about them coming up.
Yep, there's a little bit. Only one of the 6 directors who filled in for Tom Turbovic on the season 8. Yeah.
Yeah. He directed a lot of episodes the season. Apparently he learned on the job. Gary hired him and had him learn on the job to Penny's apparent frustration at one point. So, per her autobiography. And this is what this episode's about. While Laverne and the rest of the gang are at Frank's Burbank Businessmen's Association dinner, Shirley is suddenly informed that Walter is shipping out that very night. She goes overseas with him, gutting the apartment of her presence with only a brief note left behind. Laverne is devastated by her best friend's sudden exit, and the rest of the gang goes into mourning too, riding out a roller coaster of anger and sadness alongside Laverne. They do everything they can to help her land a new roommate and feel less alone. After a few failed roommate interviews, Laverne is still adrift. Will Laverne be able to steel herself against the heartbreak of Shirley's big move? What do you think of this one?
It's a very strange episode that feels very wrong. Does its best to land correctly and does actually some very good gestures to deal with this change relatively well. And I wonder to what extent things had to shift where this was initially an episode they had been planning for, as you had mentioned before, that Cindy was going to take some maternity leave and be gone for a bit. And they could have done this as an episode in the middle of that with a different reason for her having, disappeared basically. And then coming back an episode, a few episodes later. It was great to see the Queen return, Judy Pioli, Nee Askins. But it's, this is, we'll go through the episode bit by bit, but it's like there are some wonderful high points, and kind of like the last episode, I think it's cromulent at times. It's quite good actually. And I will say, I felt I enjoyed the high points of this episode more than I enjoyed the high points of the last episode, because they're more character driven. But this could be, there's a lot to unpack about this one. So let's get started.
I think I like this one more than you. I really, really like how they kind of handled everything that happened, and the way they handled it in light of how awkward and sudden Cindy's removal from the show was. They managed to pay tribute to her character as best they can without spiting her, and without making it a huge issue that she is gone and that we hate her now. So yeah, they did. In other words, they weren't about to risk further heat from the lawsuit.
Yeah, certainly.
So they handle this sensitivity towards Laverne's actual feelings and Penny's actual feelings and everybody's emotions regarding Cindy just leaving. I think it's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful episode. It acknowledges how much Shirley and Cindy meant to everybody and how sad it is that the character's going to be gone now, but how she's going to be a part of the lives, even if it's as an off-screen spirit, so to speak.
Right, certainly.
So I liked it. I like it.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, we'll go through the bits and bobs and kind of discuss our thoughts and all that. I think out the gate, the new intro, turned me off pretty fast.
Let's talk about this. Yeah. So the problem with the new intro is that it's, pretty much has to bleach Cindy and Shirley's existence completely out of the opening credits. So we get the kids randomly doing the Shamil Shamaza walk as Laverne stands there with her grocery sack. And a series of pictures of everybody looking like they want to die. Mm-hmm. Specifically, Penny looks like she wants to die in her credit picture. We haven't gotten to the episodes where there's no Lenny and it's just Squeaky standing there in front of a jukebox. That's extra sad.
Oh no, that's actually going to happen?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That's extra sad and this coming.
And the fact that it ends on Laverne, quote unquote, drowning in the booze from "There's a Spy in My Beer" is really telling.
Yeah. And it's like the worst possible scene you can end it on, too. It's like, here's our star soaked and she's getting dragged underneath. Yes.
Yeah, the way it uses a lot of like California clips I thought was really interesting, or if it's Laverne elsewhere, like Laverne in other locations, was a fascinating detail to make it look like, oh, we don't just stay in an apartment all the time. There's always something new, da-da-da. But the Laverne, my note in all caps is, oh God, this does not bode well.
Oh, and so does not. A lot of people I actually like the discoification of the theme song a bit. Or at least I find it tolerable. So.
It's a better mix, but the disco era synths kill me. Tron was just coming out that year. I think it had come out by this point because I think that was July of '82. Tangerine Dream had already done Thief and Sorcerer. Step up your game, show.
It's time to make our dreams come true, even for small children or people who are hanging out in the middle of the street.
Anyway, then we get to an exterior of a building.
Yep. And we are suddenly out of the blue at Frank's businessman's function. Apparently, everyone has to see these people in church. This is going to cause a huge discrepancy in an episode that happens later in the season. Keep this in mind. Keep this in your noodle, because when this comes up again, you're going to go, what, and excuse me. Because,
But come on, help your father, Laverne. You have this awkward, but it's awkward cuts. It's a new location, new set again, another location, new place. Like, it really seems like they were just trying to make sure that every promo had some new thing that they could show every episode, so that they didn't get stuck with bubble episodes, which prior seasons had sometimes hit.
It's wacky. I love the fact that they're at least trying to break out of the box. I guess with Cindy's salary gone, so to speak, they decided to just go wild and spend the money on sets. We get a lot more sets than we have in recent California episodes.
True. The main thing, though, is with this episode, it's basically just the same linoleum floor from the
Cowboy Bills.
Right, the talent shows. Yep, the Cowboy Bills, maybe talent show, but then it's got the even the curtains, which I want to say was used in one of the talent show episodes, or at least maybe from That's Entertainment.
I think it might be. I think it might have been recycled out of Paramount props. Quite possible. Very possible.
But speaking of linoleum, Trip the Light Linoleum, poor Rhonda dealing with Squig. The line's great. I just don't like that they, got back to Squig assaulting women.
I don't like that, and I don't. Why is Rhonda all of a sudden not into him? She was into him before.
Yeah, not to mention, she's so tall, she could drop kick this guy across the room.
Yeah, sadly, exactly. And she's tougher than him. We've established this via multiple episodes. So it's a weird little moment, I guess, that just blatantly shovels a joke that nobody wants to bite into. But he chases her around. Lenny tries to dance with Laverne, and she says no, picks Carmine over him to get to win something. Carmine's really excited to get a chainsaw. I guess the serial killer Carmine arc is finally happening.
Yeah, it's about goddamn time. I figure, 1972, he's going to be the one asking who will survive and what would be left of them. Okay, sorry, 73. 73 was when Texas Chainsaw came out.
Close.
Sorry.
Close. Still close. This isn't completely the last hint of Laverne and Lenny stuff in the show. I'll point it out when it happens later.
Oh, as in Lenny giving Laverne the look. She saw that look in his eyes.
That looks great. The way he looks at her. Come on, that's hilarious. He just wants to dance with her. Just dance with her. Let it be a sport. Dance with yourself. Could I?
Yeah, come on. And he falls into the chairs. Great little bit there.
Yep. And then he eats the chicken. He's sitting there in the background eating a bucket of chicken while everybody's dancing.
It's sadly, I wish the dance was better, but man, it's really not well staged or shot. It's very you can't see the choreography, and the choreography's good. Like it wasn't until the second time I watched it, there's this really great touch that they put into where when Carmine is spinning around with Laverne holding up his hand above her, or above them, his elbow keeps nearly hitting her in the face, and so she keeps recoiling cautiously. Oh dear. Oh man. Yeah.
the way they stage it, by the way, it's so compact because the set's so small.
Yeah.
And you have all these tables in the way.
Yeah, which they didn't need to do that. That's
No.
I understand they're trying to do foreground, background, midground elements, but like, okay, not to be too much of a movie nerd or anything, but when you look at some films where you have foreground, background, midground, you have to be careful with how much foreground is present, because you either get like martial arts movies know this incredibly well. Like you and I have watched a ton of kung fu movies. We watch a bunch of samurai movies. Samurai movies know how to do that. But then you get a movie like, say, Azumi, where there's too many foreground elements and there's choreography going on. You can kind of see it through the slits. And understandably, it's trying to be as an actual like stylistic choice, but it's like, it's a little too much in the foreground there, guys. And that's the thing, is you make the imagery too busy. And so your brain kind of glazes over. That's the main reason why you don't want to do that. And this is, so when we get to talking about the director, unfortunately, that won't be understandable why that happened.
Yeah. I wonder if it was a matter of time. I wonder if it was just, they were told, well, this needs to look like it's a dinner, so we need tables in here. But it's bad. It's just badly arranged. But the rest of the content of the scene is fun.
Yeah, it's relatively fun. The punchline of the whole, the crib, the chainsaw, and the bucket of chicken. I mean, that's fun. That's very fun. And I do love, you can tell it's probably Michael and David doing ews for the Foley, for the ADR looping.
Yeah, you can hear them. It's great.
And God, Eddie's line delivery is like, oh, Laverne, I never had a chainsaw before.
I know, he's so excited. Carmine wants to chop some stuff up. That's his dream. Of course, the obvious Cowboy Bills equals shitty food joke.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what has Cowboy Bills franchising has become over the past couple of seasons. When it started out, it wasn't that bad, but man,
yeah,
season 7, season 8 just kind of hammers it in that crappy food is crappy.
It feels like the kind of joke that's, again, it's an easy mark. It's an easy laugh. It's like how's the food? Terrible. To me, this is the thing I love about Bob's Burgers, is that Bob's Burger of the Day, they sound bizarre, but then, people have tried some of them from the cookbook that they released. Yeah. And some of them are, what I've heard is like most of them are incredible.
Yeah, I've heard excellent things. And I have that cookbook. I need to make stuff out of it eventually. But yeah, exactly. You have to marry your joke with a little bit of backup. A little bit of upkeep, so to speak.
Yeah.
You have to make it seem real to people. That's the point. Shirley's never had a baby before. That's not my fault.
Yeah, zing, ouch, ugh, show, why? Why must you taunt us with the fact that Carmine and Shirley were finally becoming a good thing and you just married off to some fucking rando? What is wrong with you, show? What is wrong with you?
Walter mean he's not a real character. Anyway. Then actual nastiness about Shirley being chubby because she's pregnant.
I hated that so much. Yeah. I fucking hated that so much.
I didn't like that line either. But the cuteness of Boo Boo Kitty going in the crib.
Yes, and practicing putting diapers on Boo Boo Kitty. That cat probably has boo boo rash by now.
Oh, so cute. Yeah, look around the apartment and see how quickly Shirley tore that place apart. It's like, how much time did she have? She took down all those albums.
Yeah.
Cleaned out absolutely everything. She took down all of her pictures. How much time did she have? She was in a rush.
Yeah, that is not a rush. That is, I had, some friends from down the street help or something. Like, that's nuts.
Exactly. Walter helped with his mummy mind powers.
I guess so. That would explain it. That would explain also the intercourse and everything and how that works.
Hey, yeah. He knocked her up with his mind.
So speaking of also the records and the record player, the new Beatles album. So this is supposed to be around 67, 68, 67, 67, right?
Yep.
Because there must, so that probably is going to be Sgt. Pepper's, I suspect.
Yes. Yep. Because we're starting to get into hippie stuff and trippy stuff, which becomes more evident as the season passes along. So it would be Sgt. Pepper's, yeah.
This whole long to do of that even knowing it was I understand. I knew it was coming. I knew this was the episode she disappeared from the show. It still takes so long for them to finally put 2 and 2 together. That was so protracted. That felt like padding. I mean, I like the whole, like, you've been robbed, need a weapon, grab the fists. And, we should be taking the chainsaw, which has to be Texas Chainsaw or Last House on the Left reference because Scarface was not out yet. That would not come out for another year and a half.
Wow. Well, things I didn't know.
Yeah, Scarface was a
didn't know.
December 1983, I think is what I saw when I looked it up.
Huh. Interesting.
Makes sense. Blowout was 82.
Yeah. De Palma. Palma!
I was just gonna say it's like this fact brought to you by the Brian De Palma Society.
Brian De Palma. We believe in the aftershots. I was gonna say I love Carmine's excitement over the chainsaw, eventually evolving into no, I wish we'd taken the chainsaw.
That was cute.
Carmine is Ash Williams, is my note.
Yeah. God, Eddie and Bruce, I think would have been a kick.
Yeah, that would have been a kick. That would have been fun.
Eddie would have made a good Pablo-esque character.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah, you would have. You would have done great. Oh, you would have done great. Okay, now, as we get to this part of the episode where Laverne finds her note and is saddened, she and Carmine start mourning about the happy face over the eye, which is really sweet. And just like that, she's gone, which is really sad. It's really genuinely really good and sad. But as we covered in the previous episode, this makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Shirley knew that Walter was going to be shipping out and that he was going to be gone for a year, and that she was supposed to stay with Laverne. So her eventual excuse that she'd been waiting so long for Walter and she had to go with him makes no sense. It makes zero sense.
Personally, I know that Lily Barbara Feeney has not been referenced in forever. This would be the time to pull the trigger on she's getting, her mom's getting old enough that she gets cancer and she has to go take care of her. That would be, or has some sort of illness. It could even be her mom, because this would be so Lily. She gets her daughter onto a cruise ship and the cruise is going to be like a 4-month cruise. And she doesn't know that until she's on board and her mom has trapped her there. And so all that she's able to phone her on, and we don't even have to hear her say anything. She basically says, I can't get away from this. I'm going to try, but it's but it's Shirley with her mom. I mean, that's the kind of thing. Yeah. That's the only other alternative that I can see of getting rid of her for a while, because as you're saying, exactly in episode 1 of the season, they had already established that they were going to be working around this, where he's going to be off for a year and she might join him for a time, eventually, but that she wasn't joining him right away. And they've now completely contradicted it. But that's, these are the breaks of a show having to be done on the fly, having to make these decisions and changes. It's rough.
Yeah, it's rough. They could have come up with something like simpler, like she had to go be with Barb. Maybe something happened to Jack.
Yeah.
Jack fell overboard and she has to go be with him. And, Bobby needs her.
Yeah. I mean, even could be that Bobby's, all the other siblings are busy with something. And Jack fell overboard and, he's got a bad injury and she has to be there to take care of him in Milwaukee for a while.
Yep. It's that easy. It's that easy, but they made it difficult for themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because they're also trying to create this closed loop of like an ecosystem of these characters. And the problem with closed loop ecosystems for these characters, and the problem with episodic television, I find, is that good shows like Laverne and Shirley have a vast array of characters that come in and out over time. And even though they have a series book with all these different characters available to them, they're worried about referencing something from 5 seasons ago, because the chances of every person who watches the episode knowing who that is, that's going to create issues. That's going to be cases of people reviewing and saying, what the hell, why would you want to watch this episode when some reason's been made? I mean, obviously, this is just as bad of a reason. I think it's as bad of a reason as any other, basically, because my note even here is this feels so wrong. They're trying, at least. It's Judy. Judy's trying, but ooh, boy.
To me, that's like the only really, there's 2 bits of discontinuity in this episode. There's that, and Laverne's saying that she and Shirley met in the 5th grade when they got kicked out of the Brownies together.
I hate that.
That was established all the way back in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we know they've known each other since at least they were 7 years old. Yeah, right around there. And right around 2nd grade. So that's another thing that doesn't exist. Those are just like 2 little blemishes on an episode that I genuinely do enjoy. Mm-hmm. Lord, you now know this history. Y'all can do the research, darn it.
Yep.
And all of this is genuinely heartbreaking. All the actors' performances seem to be genuinely milling their way through the anxiety that they felt in the losing Cindy, or the sadness they felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there are moments like Eddie really has to like be like the stable straight man through so much of this episode, and he does a really good job.
Yes.
Him and Phil both.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And even Rhonda's more tender.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta give lots of credit to Leslie for pulling that off with Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
And then Laverne's gentle monologue about laughing with someone and talking to someone and trusting someone, because they're trying to move her as quickly as possible into another roommate situation so she won't be depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone that you want to share your bedroom with.
Yeah, I think you have a word for that one.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh.
That was a cute. It's not a great hello gag, but it's a cute one. I mean, you can hear even in David's voice, he's like, "Oh God, I got to do this fucking shit again."
Oh, he gets more and more like that as the season goes on.
So this is about the time he drop kicked the script, isn't it?
He drop kicked the script earlier in the run. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
we
my
never
God.
found out which season that was, but there was always mischief like that, like him and Michael setting a script on fire.
I still love that. That's so cathartic.
I still want to know which one they did that to.
I just imagine them doing it in swim trunks and sandals and an apron, like The Rock trying to cook the hand in Pain and Gain.
I could see that. Oh dear. And of course, there was a time that David just busted down the door to Eddie's dressing room and claimed it.
Right. But anyway.
Yeah, around this time is where it becomes really obvious he's just trying to entertain himself.
Yeah.
Pax pointed this out where it becomes really, really obvious somewhere in the midstream here, because he doesn't have a Lenny to play off of after a while.
Exactly. Also, hi Pax. Hello.
Yes, hi Pax. Hi Pax.
Yeah, it's yeah, you really feel sorry for David already, 3 episodes in, because it just feels like he's not, even Lenny, it feels like is getting more little moments that he's able to claw through. I will say David gets some wonderful material towards the end, like the second half of this episode.
Yes.
But it's and some good continuity from Duke of Squigman, but
yes,
even still, it's a little rough. Anyway, I did want to point out, by the way, before we get too far ahead, about Pop and in the scene with the, it's like, what do you think? I'm stupid. I know not to use the word no, so I gave her the day off so she can relax. And as soon as she comes in, I love how he like says, it's like Muffin, what are you doing here? I gave her the day off. It's like there's a, you can see the growth of him as a dad through this as well, like the fact that he slaps Carmine. It's like to calm her down. I can't slap my daughter in the face, and it was like, wow, that's gross.
Yeah, it's an improvement after everything he's been through. You gotta give it to Frank. He's trying to modernize. We'll see him continuing to modernize throughout this season. There'll be some further hints, so that's nice.
Will he be modernizing the way of the future and using the great wonders of Mylar?
Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
Oh no!
God, that Mylar shirt. Man, that Mylar shirt. Chemical plus water equals Mylar.
But yeah, this whole scene at Cowboy Bill's is very like, it's trying to be vaudeville. It's a bit sloppy, but it reasonably does it because the performers have got their timing down.
Yeah.
But like, like the warm milk and then Rhonda and then splashing in his face. Like, couldn't you just slap me? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I didn't know you were ill. I wish not. No, I wish Laverne had moved in with boys. Is what I was gonna say. That would be incense, sir.
Oh yeah, God, my mom hated that joke so much.
There are worse jokes in the season, basically. So I'm giving them a pass on that one. He's it's trying. It's funny. It's funnier.
Yep.
But yeah, tone shift to determination. There's a lot of great lines in here coming up in this scene. Julie Brown.
And then we get to Julie Brown. We get to the series of roommates. John, Julie Brown. Yes. Are you Muffin? Did my father send you?
Ronnie Howen, who happens to have been Penny's sister.
Yep. Half sister apparently.
Sister.
Yep.
Yeah, sister. Yep. Who she worked, I think, as talent coordinator.
She was talent and casting coordinator for this show for I think is all 8 seasons.
Yes, that's what she did. Yay!
Did you recognize? Okay, question though. As soon as the door opened and that hey, it's me. You chill out, babe. It's the it's the 60s. Let loose.
Hey, babe, you're in your 40s. Get lost.
Well, my note here is get out of here, Tom. This isn't your week because that's Tom Turbovic.
No way! The director makes a cameo!
On an episode that's not even his. This is your week, Tom. Get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
Oh my god, that's great. That is great. I had no idea that's what he looks like. That's hilarious. That is great. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we did. And then we also
God.
get Catherine Fuller returning. She was in I Do, in season 6. She shows up as the bag lady.
Yes.
Before anyone asks, and before we get to that point, Mr. Handsome Guy is not credited. I have no idea who that is.
Aw.
I'm sorry.
I love it. Too bad. Too bad. I love Ranting Homeless Lady. She's great in that.
Yeah, bag lady's amazing. Yeah. Tell you a story. I was living in this box.
Such a great line. Oh, it's such a great line. Oh, it's so good. The whole rant is terrific, and eventually,
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then, of course, Patty and Maxine, yeah.
Yeah, Penny and Maxine go off and get their own place. They go to get their own spinoff together.
Yeah, they're going to get their own spin together. Where they schlemiel and schlemazel together. They schlemiz and schlemos. Then Laverne is so done with everybody. And then, so that she answers the door in a rage, declaring that she wants to live independently. And it turns out to be a handsome, tall dude sent to her by Lenny. Lenny didn't even know what she wants, huh?
Exactly. He knew exactly what to get her for her birthday.
Yeah.
Which is why he's perfect. Which is why he's perfect for her.
Cough, cough.
Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, Carmine going to the computer roommate service to get Ronnie was pretty funny, and that whole back and forth. I'm glad that, despite the fact that Ronnie had never really done much, she had done a little bit of stuff. We'll get to that, but her and Penny have a wonderful banter with each other.
Oh yeah, they do. They definitely do. They definitely do.
Patty though, Julie Brown, the first one that comes in, the one sent by Pop. Are we gonna talk about the filthy euphemism?
Yes. Lay out that filthy euphemism. Do it.
Okay. Oh, I'm usually really quiet, except when my boyfriend brings his teammates over. Teammates? Yeah, he's a football player for the Rams.
Oh, there's so many.
Yep.
Oh, there's so much filth. Oh, it's so dirty.
By
That's
the
an
way,
amazingly filthy joke that for a season that doesn't really get into the raunch until midpoint.
yeah.
I will say this.
Also, cute shout out to this line, or a shout out to this line being very cute. Laverne DeFazio, big D, little E, big F, little Fazio. And sorry, big F, little Ozio.
I love that line. I love it. It's so good.
Anyway, so we then transition from this little montage of different, pseudo montage of different roommate applications to the group of Laverne's friends sleeping in the living room, waiting for her to come home. This was where the episode turned around and started to really click for me. The funny part was good, but this started to melt the sourness that I was feeling emotionally about the episode up to this point.
To me, it's great. I like this whole episode more than you likely, but this scene is terrific. Baby Huey in bondage.
Yeah, that was cute. And Lenny, of course,
and that's fun.
And Lenny on the dresser again.
Yep. But that's extra funny because David ends up in a Baby Huey movie later in his career.
I forgot about that. You're right.
Baby
I just
Huey,
remembered that. As soon as you said it.
And the world is ironic. Don't say that word.
Rhonda having some sage wisdom. She changes her name too, says Squig.
I read that in House Beautiful.
And
the whole bit is really terrific. Go ahead.
I was going to say, though, Lenny's bedtime story for Squig. The long-going bedtime story of doom is what I called it.
Oh, my gosh. And they've been telling it for like years now. Years and years and years ever since they moved in together. That's adorable. And it's like, how the heck are they doing that if some nights they sleep apart? Because, some of them, sometimes they're having overnights with girls and it's not two of them in the same place and in the same woman. Wow, I'm scanning.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, what do you mean there isn't the possibility they wake up, they sit up all night, sit up for a few hours, and tell each other that next part of the Captain Jack story, the only pirate with a hook instead of a head, sitting in a coat closet, because that's what he's bound to do.
Possibly, quite possibly.
And I do love the way they edit the little inserts, the timing of the zip. Spick, and the spit noise, just beautiful.
And the way Leslie just slowly wads up tissue and blocks her ears.
Mm-hmm.
So good. In through the door comes Laverne in a tie-dye t-shirt, because we're in the late 60s.
Yep.
Yep. I love how cute this is and how she's like, you guys can go. I want to be alone. It's okay. Your father made us use it before we came down here.
Yeah, of course, Papa made them use the bathroom before they came down.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing, is that's where the whole, like, energy they give towards Laverne is very, like, communal, which has already been missing for so much of the season so far, is that communal love and spirit, which had been, because this needed that energy you get from, like, the driving test and testing and the festival and stuff like that, where, or even Frank's Fling, you go far back, or Bowling for Raspberries. Like, there's a support for this character, for a character that's in a crisis.
The love that is shared here is beautiful, and it comes from characters like Rhonda and Squiggy, who have been done dirty a little bit on and off by writing on and off, and it's really sweet. It's beautiful the way how everybody cares and everybody wanted to be there for her and let her know she wasn't alone. That's adorable. It's adorable down to toes. Michael's hair is obviously blonder here and longer, and it was clear he was trying to grow it longer for Spinal Tap, but he couldn't get it long enough where it needed to be in time for shooting, so they gave him a wig.
So Laverne goes up. She discovers the other part of the note under the bed, which my note is contrivance for the win. No, no, it isn't.
Kinda, but who cares? It works. And then she finds a note, and it's a long note, and she reads part of it to the gang, and it's very sweet.
After, of course, Lenny falls off the dresser again.
Yep, again. Right onto the floor, again. Rolls right over.
Yeah, so...
You're saying she ran off with Roy Rogers?
Yes. Walter was on a waiting list for transfer overseas. The orders came through 3 hours before the plane left. My note is, okay, horse shit. And also in italics, oh my God, is he going to Vietnam or at least Okinawa? Because I actually knew somebody who worked in hospitals during. I knew somebody a long time ago that had served in Vietnam, and they were in Japan, and I believe in one of the bases in Okinawa, and they saw the wounded come back during that war, and the ones they had to, like, pull from the field basically and patch them up as much as they could before they sent them home, and so. I can't see Shirley be married to a guy that is going to be going into that position. This is 1967, 68. This is by the time the war had heated up enough. The stories were coming out about how bad things really were going. And, folks like McNamara and the like couldn't really keep a lid on anything anymore. So, that's another layers of horseshit. But at least, we have an explanation. Not a good explanation, but an explanation. Why is the line, I guess I've always waited to meet my Walter too, supposed to be a joke?
It's sweet. It's that's very sweet. Unfortunately, we know nothing about Walter, so we know nothing about what kind of guy he is, and how great he is, except for Shirley insisting he is, so.
Yeah,
even in absentia.
Because I like the line. It's very sweet. The fact they throw a laugh track on it is disturbing.
Yeah, I know. That's that fear of letting boys have solid emotional moments, which is annoying of them.
Go ahead.
I'd rather drop dead than Rhonda when the boys offer to have her over.
You're gonna miss a lot of fun now. And that lady drags the lounge beach chair with the silk sheets over her.
Yep. So cute.
And then the smutty PS for Carmine, which is interesting.
From a married woman. Mm-hmm. Leaving that door wide open, aren't ya?
Yeah, very much. And also, not to mention, Shirley is now realizing, hey, oh no, if she becomes a divorcee, he's going to want to be all over her.
Oh, we'll get there. He doesn't end up in the sketch that they do, but I can imagine this. He'd be so into it. Well, you already paid for my dinners. Why don't you pay for them now?
I do also love Laverne's remark about giving him the PS to take with him, and like, you want to read that on your own, and which is, again, implications. But I love her line, but don't lose it because I want to keep it. Okay, like, okay.
Well, it's like, why can't she read that in front of her father? Is the question. Carmine Shirley lives even though she's married. With my notes on that.
But yeah, by the time we get to this ending, I mean, it's redeemed itself a lot of ways. I felt it did land nicely on at the very conclusion. It's like it's doing, because it really is, as we've said multiple times already, it's doing its best with the circumstances, given that nobody really wants to be here that much
At all.
So, and there's a sweetness to the note, and that has a hopeful glimmer. I think that
feels very Shirley.
Exactly. I also wonder if the hope is from the cast of this show trying to say, Cindy, when and if you're ready to come back, we're here waiting for you. That's what it felt like.
It might have been. It might have been. It might have been. It might have been. Or from the writing team even. So,
yeah, possibly. Yeah,
might
especially someone like Judy, because Judy, you know, I don't think didn't have as much animosity towards Cindy, at least.
Yeah, Judy Pioli save us all is my note in this episode breakdown. Yeah, I love this tag scene where Squiggy tries to get Laverne to give up the crib because it makes him feel like a real man, and he sleeps really well in it. It's just so Squiggy, and it's so sweet.
Yeah, my mom didn't like that, but she was like, "That is weird."
Squiggy, it's allowed to be.
Yeah, well, also weird in the sense that she just didn't find it funny. She that was the point of her turning on the season already, where it's like, well, I mean, she turned on it from the first episode, but it really was starting to get into the point of, oh, it's not really, the jokes aren't really that funny. You know, it's and truthfully, as much as we've pointed out the jokes we've liked, there's probably about a half dozen or more that don't land, in my opinion, for this episode. It's one of those, I will say, so far of the 4 I've seen, this is clearly the best of the episode of the season so far. But it's not saying much.
This is gonna end up being like a little high mid for me. I really like this one a little bit more than you, but I know what's ahead. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
I know what lies ahead, and this is a very good episode.
Gotcha. It's a context thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is a really gently bittersweet little episode. It proves that the show could have lasted without Shirley if they kept Lenny.
Yeah.
But with both of them gone, it just like
it starts. Yeah, really. That's when there's not enough foundation to build the show, and they never like. We're gonna get into a sort of replacement character next episode.
Yeah, they tried.
They try, and it doesn't really go too far, in my opinion. But
we will get more of him, by the way. We will get more Chuck.
Yeah.
In a few episodes. So.
You're not supposed to say his name. We don't talk about him.
Don't say it. Don't write it. Don't speak it.
It's now I'm just imagining Charles Fleischer in the Babadook Part 2. Anyway, so okay. But anyway, yeah, so right. So we're up to ranking time. I mean, as much as I've been critical, I think my number will still surprise you. But let's go ahead. What do you rank it for this one?
This is a 7 for me. It's got a lot of emotion. It's well written. It's well handled. I remember this. This is better than what I remembered it to be. This is a lot better than what I remembered. The writing is good generally. There's a couple of jokes that I don't fly with me, but the writing and the acting, generally the directing, all work for me, and this is why it goes so high.
So, for me, I'm going to give this a high 6.5. So I think on a good day, it would probably hit a 7. So far, the 2 times I've watched it have not been good days, so I'm going to still not be able to give it much more than that. Yeah. I think what my issue is, though, is that, you know, as I've already kind of discussed, and I've already, you know, I've made clear on, you know, discussing the show, discussing the podcast, I'm hitting the burnout point. And so even when there's a good episode, if you're so burnt out, it's hard to even enjoy the good stuff. And that's, I think, kind of where it's hitting, because if this had been, say, a season 7 episode, it would have probably been a 6.5. It still would have been a 6.5, maybe a 7. In terms of like the way the elements land and stuff like that. But you really do. I felt the loss of Cindy very immediately. And it feels like part of the spark is gone that I really liked in the show. Because one of the things I really liked about reviewing these episodes was examining how Cindy's performance and the writing for the character combined to create a sometimes rather intricate characterization that had depth that a sitcom typically doesn't do. And that feels, that being missing has really dimmed a lot of my joy. Yeah. So
it's one of those things where you're gonna you're definitely gonna feel that loss more keenly in further episodes, but I won't tell you when how.
Okay.
But man, yeah. To me, I feel it less keenly. To me, I feel like this handles it very well, and it's possible that it could fly, and that it works because of the strength of the ensemble all being together.
Mm.
Once we start to segment that ensemble even further, that's when it starts to fall on its butt. So that's just
Right.
me.
Yeah. And I already could feel that loss after we lost Edna for last season.
Yes.
And
yeah,
that was
yeah.
rough. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It was. Not only is that rough, it was just an awkward, bad decision. And we're going to see that decision further get segmented and discussed later in the season.
I've heard murmurings. I've started to conjecture what I think is a pretty good idea of what happens, and
You're not prepared. You're not prepared.
Son of a
Fair.
Okay. So time for the behind the scenes notes for today. This is a case of it's not to remember this, so I'm going to try to get through these rather quickly. Judy Pioli, as we mentioned, was the writer, credited writer. This is her 13th of 14 episodes as credited writer. She has one more to go. She worked as executive story editor and story editor through the show from seasons 2 through 5 with a background of Belansky's Beauty, Sorota's Court, and Angie. Now, she's just about to the point of jumping into more producing and some directing, with Webster, Valerie, and First Time Out ahead of her. Now, director Gabrielle Alice James. She is one of the 6 directors who filled in for Tom. She'd actually been the script supervisor for most of this show since season 2. This was her first and only credited director outing. So remember how I mentioned there was some sloppiness here and there? This is why. Yeah. So, because having done Scripty is not the best place to learn how to direct because you have to be very focused on the takes, writing a lot of notes, and keeping track of continuity and things like that. Script supervisor is a pretty complicated job. It's a good go-between production and post. As mentioned, though, because of the fact of her being a script supervisor, she then stays primarily in that platform, that job. She actually had first done it on More Than Friends in 1978. Very interesting. So she stays in the job across a single episode here or there through most of the 1980s, such as CBS Summer Playhouse, Very Brady Christmas, an episode of Pee-wee. But her big gig in the 80s came with Cheers. She was a script supervisor for 251 episodes across a 10-year span.
Man, that's cool.
She would then scriptavise them script notes for Frasier, 259 episodes, Back to You, 16 episodes, and Gary Unmarried for 34 episodes. Her last gig seems to have been a scripty for Mike and Molly in 2010.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It shows you how the industry sometimes end up supporting a person's ambitions. Because Absolutely. Gary always gave people a chance to direct if they wanted to direct. So.
Yep. So then, and I'm not to mention, this is not a fun episode to be your first out on the chair. I would not be surprised if she had to direct a scene or two for pickups or dress rehearsals or something for whatever reason. But this is a big one. I think even an experienced director like Rafkin or Zwick would have had trouble with this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then actor notes. Julie Brown as Patty. She returns in her second appearance on the show, having previously been the receptionist in Rocky Ragu. Now, she was already a popular somebody in show business at this point. She'd gotten the big break of a small role in The Incredible Shrinking Woman, and she made friends with Lily Tomlin, who really believed in her. She was also amazingly in the cult classic Bloody Birthday the previous year to this.
Yeah. She plays the oldest sister who gets murdered.
Oh, nice.
Things I know.
However, one of these fantastic and sometimes underappreciated parts of Julie Brown is that her and Penny getting to act together in this is a meeting of women titans in Hollywood.
Yes.
As many of you know, I'm sure Lisa here knows quite well. She would go. Julie would go on to write a ton of scripts. She would go on to write things such as working on Earth Girls Are Easy. She wrote an episode of Quantum Leap. She was credited for 20 episodes of the one seasoner The Edge, which was kind of a intense sketch comedy.
Yeah, it's kind of like In Living Color, but whiter.
Right.
Jennifer Aniston was in it.
Yes. But yeah, she did that and more. She also produced a lot, including working as a producer on the Clueless series, which she also, I think, did some scripting for in the late 90s, and being a supervising producer on 100 Things to Do Before High School. So I was mentioning Ronnie Halland, that we're going to get back to her. She's another Marshall. She was one more clan member hopping in and surprising. This is her first and only appearance on Laverne and Shirley. Now, she was previously uncredited in an episode of The Odd Couple. Will pop up in a couple of Gary's movies, including Frankie and Johnny and Exit to Eden. Mostly, Ronnie was in cast department and supervising producer across multiple Marshallverse productions, including, as we found out through the Gary Marshall documentary that came out 3 years ago, she was one of the key reasons that Robin Williams was discovered for Mork's first Happy Days appearance. And she also was the supervising producer on the Laverne and Shirley Together Again special.
Yes. Terrific.
While no longer in showbiz, Ronnie's effect on the series is undeniable. So this is our only time to really talk about Ronnie Hallen. Thank you for your casting coordination. And she was, I don't know about you, but I loved her in this little part. She was just delightful.
She does a great job. She has a great job. And I love how she mirrors Penny's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Gary and Ronnie and Penny don't exactly sound exactly the same, even though they were raised by the same people. They got the same genetic makeup, etc. So the way she handles echoing Penny's Laverne voice comes up beautifully. I really like it. I love her performance. She did a good job.
I think so too. All right, last one is Catherine Fuller as the Bag Lady. So as mentioned, she was Ernestine in I Do, I Do. She was a longtime theater actor for most of her life and started doing parts in TV shows from the mid-'70s and onwards to the late 1980s. This included Charlie's Angels, Fantasy Island, Little House on the Prairie, Remington Steele, 3 episodes of Happy Days, and even an episode of Starman. But, of course, her most consistent role was that of Mabel Cummings on Days of Our Lives from 1980 to 1986.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she passed away in 2012 at the age of 89, but Ms. Fuller had a wonderful run, and it sounds like my understanding is she had basically was an actor all of her life till the end.
Oh, that's terrific. That's absolutely terrific. That's wonderful.
Anyway, yeah. Are there any other notes or any other things that you have any questions or thoughts about for the note?
Nah, not on my end.
All right. Okay, thank you again, everybody. We will have a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with a little bit of outro and what's coming up next as we get lost in Season 8. Okay, thank you everyone so much once more for joining us for Night After Night, the show about 8 seasons in a row. And, yeah, so if you would like to know more about Laverne and Shirley, Season 8, and other Laverne and Shirley Marshallverse-related topics, you can find us at Night After Night PC on Twitter, or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, WordPress, Tumblr, Patreon, YouTube, or wherever good podcasts may be found. As well, if you would like to be involved more on the Twitter side, we really do hope to encourage you to take a look there, because we do nice little bits of community watch-alongs as much as we can. We do little, we post the animated GIFs, we have little bits of trivia, and we just try to stay active in this little kind of burgeoning community of Laverne and Shirley fans that's now coming around. So anyway, but next week, Lisa, do I have to take my clothes off again for this?
No, you don't. Laverne will, and she'll do it even more in the episode after this. Laverne lands a new job at the Ajax Aerospace Factory, but the monkey shines of her new colleague Chuck result in her being stuck in a spacesuit that sends her floating towards the sky. Will she ever come down? This is Lost in Spacesuits.
I sense danger. We will have to see.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Danger. Bye, y'all, and always remember, if your best friend leaves you a note, call collect.
I don't get it.